will not regret what you're going to hear from these great figures. On behalf of ALCDC and ALCDC, we're here to bring you a wealth of information, resources for you and your community. We're going to first have our welcome by Mayor Thelma Gray, DeValls Bluff. Would you like to come over here, or do you want to stand where you are?
I'm really not a speaker, but anyway, I appreciate everybody coming and meeting you, and I think have a nice visit here in our little city of DeValls. Well, and welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we're going to have our own Larry Lofton, Director of Ag Farm Program Division.
Thank you, Mayor. Great, we appreciate that. And we already feel welcome, at least I feel welcome. And I'm sure everyone else does as well. Many of our panelists are becoming more and more familiar with me, which is very nice to see. Familiar faces. So the information just gets more and more ingrained each time I meet with everyone, because I learn each time. Sometimes, you know, when you get to be my age, you need to hear things, you know, more than once. It helps to hear things 2 and 3 times. So we set these meetings up so that we can outreach to our communities, southeastern Arkansas and 42 states, counties rather, in Arkansas, so that we can bring this information to the public, to farmers, to business owners, to government officials, to school departments, to everyone who's interested in wanting to know what the United States Department of Agriculture has to offer in our great state of Arkansas. The United States Department of Agriculture spends more money probably in this state than any other federal department. And I think it's safe to say that. And so as us, we need to understand, you know, what those opportunities are, what those resources are. And the more we understand them, the better we can connect to USDA and their services. We have members here from, professionals here from the Farm Service Agency. We have professionals here from Rural Development, which covers housing and community development, as well as NRCS. And I know there's a lot of acronyms because government loves acronyms. And I worked for the government for a long time, but we didn't have nearly the acronyms that USDA. And those are hard enough, but you will become more and more familiar with the acronyms and what they stand for. And as you do, you'll be able to pinpoint services at locations where you need to address. So we hope that you will enjoy this meeting, as well as get questions answered, get information that you need that you can bring back to your home, your families, to your business, as well as your communities. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to let you all know that the restrooms outside the double doors here, you're gonna make a left and you're halfway down the hall is the men. And at the end of the hall, the left is the women. And on behalf of our Arkansas Land Community Development, we have a complimentary to you, soft drinks and some snacks, and you are welcome, and water. So feel free to get either one of them. So next we're gonna have on the program is our own Dr. Calvin King, our President and CEO. Dr. King.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Let me express my appreciation to the mayor as well, you know, for hosting this event and allowing us to come to your community and all of our partners, you know, USDA. You know, we say one USDA because, as Mr. Lofton said, USDA offers an abundance of resources, and you'll probably see, or you may have seen, where you see where the statement is made that the USDA touches all of our lives. And that's a very, very true statement. USDA touches everyone's life even if you're in urban areas, if you're in rural areas, wherever you may reside, you know, within the United States itself, as it has to do with both clean air and some things that they have going now with USDA called smart agriculture practices, housing, particularly for rural areas. And I know DeValls, Bluff, and Carlisle, back a few years ago, I received a call, and they had an interest in housing for the area. I don't know if that's the same now as it was some time ago, but an issue around housing and availability of resources for housing based on a commuting population of individuals or workforce, people who are working in the Stuttgart area. I'm thinking as well as other areas, maybe Carlisle and other areas as well. So, but I do remember that phone call. And again, it's been some years ago, but you find that to be true in a lot of our rural areas, rural small town areas. I'm from a rural small town myself. So, and I grew up, you know, on the farm where our president lives after college, and I moved back and I built my home there. I farmed for 20 years, actually, and until I was in a pretty serious accident where, you know, I got in the way of a train. So after that, it sort of retired my farming career at that point in time, and I didn't, you know, venture back into it. One of the areas he talks about is prosperity communities. The prosperity communities is the initiative that USDA was doing some years ago. I think you'll still find it in some of that communication even now, particularly with rural development, prosperity communities. And basically, what that meant is that it's a planning process for rural communities, say they're in the same county, they're close in proximity, such as DeValls, Bluff, and Bisco, and maybe even Carlisle area, and they have common needs. And those common needs that may have deal with technology, as they have, you know, Connect Arkansas now, and dealing with access. One of the things now they talk about is everyone having access to internet and making sure that internet access is made available. So a lot have been put into that resource-wise, both back through USDA as well as other sources from an infrastructure perspective. And you'll find that to be true with a lot of other resources as well, both by way, particularly by way of USDA for our rural communities. So collective planning, as well as understanding the common need. You know, some areas have coalitions. We'll have coalitions of small towns or towns in the area in the county. We did some work like that years ago. When I sort of first got into what I'm still presently doing, but it was called Small Town Resources. And that's when the issue around rural water, that was a big issue then. Rural water didn't have availability of rural water equal as much so as you had in some of the larger small towns. So the small towns came together in the area, Lee County area where I live, and over in the St. Francis County area to really look at that whole issue and how to access the resources to get rural water. And it worked. Judge Ollie Neal, then he was director of a Lee County Cooperative Clinic, and there was a direct connection between water and health in these rural communities. Water and health and what was going on from a health perspective, and of course availability of health care. And that was sort of his ministry during that time period. And he was actually one of the pioneers in dealing with making sure that rural water was made available in our rural local communities in Arkansas. He was one of the first people to really head that particular initiative. But anyway, so the prosperity community itself is somewhat, I'm using it as somewhat of a comparison even now, when individuals in leadership positions look at talking together, planning together, and then meeting with the resource people that you have here to talk about these common needs that need to be addressed, then one, you're gonna have more numbers, and you know, everybody look at numbers, right? USDA, the number based on the need that exists, and justification, of course, for both the work and the resources coming to those areas get more priority because you have more than one voice there. You have more than one voice is speaking, and people are listening to more than one individual. So that's always the benefit behind that. And that's somewhat what the prosperity communities itself is all about. Conservation resources and micro-urban farming. Micro-urban farming was not common years ago. 2018 Farm Bill put into place where urban farming is a reality now. Of course, now when I was coming up, we had the farm for our row crops, and that was wheat and soybeans and cotton. Long rows of cotton. I thought my daddy could create long rows, you know, when we was raising cotton, but it would take me forever when we were chopping, you know, to get out on the other end. And then I also, when you got long rows and your parents had you the water boy, and you got some on this end that want water, and then you got some middle ways the field that want water, and you know, but they're never in the same location at the same time. It's one of the hardest jobs it is being a water boy when you're dealing with being out there in that hot sun, because you have to do you do quite a bit of walking. But I had some of those I call them work experiences growing up on the farm, and I live on that farm now, you know, back to that same farm. But then they didn't talk about micro farming or urban farming, or they call them small farmers, but not urban farmers. Now we had the regular farm, we had a huge garden, and we had, some of you may have never heard of this, what they call truck patches. Have y'all heard of truck patches?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when, you know, truck patches, to me, that was enough farm for me though, but yeah, and you raised all the different vegetables and everything. First, my dad say the first point of market itself from a consumer perspective is the household itself. And then of course, you know, they had local cooperatives. We sold a lot of okra, we sold peas, we sold cucumbers. Cucumbers are one of the hardest crops to harvest to me because there's a lot of bending involved. But you know, we raised all those on our farm. But the micro-urban farm offer those opportunities now. And it does not have to be an acre. It does not have to be 3 acres. It does not have to be 20 acres. It does not have to be 5 acres. You could have 1 acre, half an acre, and become a urban farmer or a micro farmer and qualify for the available resources through USDA. And we work with individuals in doing that. USDA works directly back with us in a partnership manner, as well as with the universities in getting and accessing the resources and how they can be most beneficial in these type of farming operations. Natural Resource Conservation Services, particularly necessity organization that you have to have that have some of the primary resources. And of course, the other is Farm Service Agency as well. And they'll talk more about that, both the resources itself, how to access those resources, and that whole step-by-step process. So often, as I said, we hear of resources and we may see things in certain areas and we wonder, but then we don't know how to access and receive the benefit of the resources to make it a reality, either for yourself or for your own community. No, I'm a firm believer that to the extent that you make this information available through the local leadership, the mayor, the city council, the justice of the peace, and others, and they talk about it, then one, to the extent that you're able to institutionalize that process at the local level, to that extent, can they continue to make sure that their community is informed? Those who may not be here today, but it may be at a city council meeting or some other community meeting, that they want to inform that larger segment of the population about these opportunities and work with the local population to make sure that they are getting the resources to their local area. But natural resource conservation services, the other area, and we find this basically in every community that we have meetings, is air property. Air property. Now, air property is basically where you have individuals who have inherited land or real property from their parents. And it may be that one generation down, it may be 2 generations down, or maybe 3 generations down. The more generations out you get from the originators of that real property, to that extent, does it become more complicated to deal with and to address the issue itself. Well, we've worked in that area. We have Air Property Center, and as we have done it for such a period of time, we have publications on that. And there are also resources available through USDA to financing resources to deal with air property. Availability of resources to deal with air property. Now, you would have never heard of that 20 years ago. Never heard of it. Matter of fact, we say, well, we really can't use air property as an asset or as security if you're dealing with accessing financing. You may be farming the family farm. But that family farm that's got 4 individuals, 10 individuals that's involved in it, from an air property perspective, they normally would not take that in as security. So you unless you get all the heirs to sign, because it's undivided interest. The other issue with air property is that if it continues to be in that state, then there are major risks involved with the possibility of losing air property itself. Now, the laws have changed from what it was some years ago. We were a part of that. It took us about 20 years actually before it became a reality to what the new law is now under what they call the Unified Air Property Act. But we'll come back and we'll talk more in detail about that also, and any questions you may have regarding air property, the resources for addressing it, as well as the new law itself called the Unified Air Property Act. And we also have educational materials in reference to air property as well. Farm certification, I'm not going to get into that because we have the people here who specialize in dealing with the certification process, particularly for your farm number. And I'm not going to get into GAP, GHP either. So I'm going to stop at this point now. I see Ms. Williams has gotten up, that's my tone. Now, when she gets up, that means I've gone over my time. Now, if I stop before she get up, that means I'm doing pretty good. So my signals, I've gone over my time now. So I'm going to stop at this point, and we'll, and say it's a roundtable discussion, and I'll come back later on. I want to engage both of the resource people here as well as with all those that support the audience. We really want to have this as an engagement process, a discussion about the resources and how your community can benefit from the resources that's available. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. You are so good. You are right on time.
Thank you.
But
Mr.
I
Reed.
got a bone to pick with you because all this time I thought that I was the water girl back in those days. I'm not gonna say how many years that was, but I thought I was, I thought that was the easiest job because my dad, I was gonna be his favorite baby girl, and I thought that was the easiest. Now you're telling me sorry.
No, it was, of course, we had long rows in the field too. I tell you, it's one end to the other.
Okay, we are now getting ready for the meat, the good part now, from our USDA presenters. So we're first gonna have NRCS, which is the Natural Resource and Conservation Services, Equity and Equality Opportunities in the Inflation Act, IRA, and the American Rescue Plan. So I would like for you all to hold your questions until after they speak, finish, and they will, I'm sure, answer them. Okay, whoever want to come on, you wanna go, you first, you know, last me first to last, you know, best. And thank you for coming, miss.
Good morning. My name is Kennard Williams. I'm the State Outreach Coordinator for the Natural Resource Conservation Service for Arkansas. Today I'll just go over some of the basic programs of, I actually talk about urban, I'll let Ms. Gwen talk about the EQIP programs. But today I'll actually go over some of the information that we have for the actual urban outreach initiative that we have for the state of Arkansas. We currently have an initiative, as a lot of you may know, the high tunnel, you see a lot of high tunnels. We had a big initiative that each county have that initiative. We also, probably within the next 15-20 days, we're actually gonna have an announcement for urban conservation for EQIP as well as CSP. The CSP will actually fall under the Act now, and the EQIP will actually be just regular EQIP for the urban. We're looking and targeting just the urban communities at that time. But also not just that part of it, under the regular EQIP and regular CSP, you can always sign up under those programs. We are a voluntary agency. We're not a regulatory agency. Our job is out there is to help the people help the land. So we're out there to try to address the resource concerns that the producers have. And the whole purpose of the urban conservation, a lot of times you look at, they think a lot of the urban are small farming. And they say, well, my acreage are too small. Well, it's not an acreage limit. We're looking at areas for, if you look at, we just talked about DeValls Bluff where we're here. You start looking at food deserts, where how close up you are to a grocery store. It's just quite a way. So when you start this initiative is to start helping the community to start growing their own food fiber that can help them in their community as well. So that initiative is being pushed pretty hard for the urban conservation to do that work and actually provide food. And as everything goes up and cost goes up, we're trying to, that's our initiative that can help. Under that urban initiative, under EQIP wise, we're looking at different practices like seasonal high tunnel. And what that does, extend your growing season. You can start planting, actually you could have started planting in February because we've been pretty dry, but the temperature wise, I've had producers produce tomatoes over into January because the frost didn't hit them. They had to take a freeze to take them out, but the tomato continued to produce under those high tunnels. But also some of those other practices that we have in irrigation water management. For the drip tapes, the drip system, a lot of times you can hook those up to your water hoses, water lines to your house. And a young lady installed one and she said she couldn't tell the difference in her water bill. So it's efficient. And that was on city water as well. So those are the practices that NRCS would help and assist in implementing and installing. We have something called the social disadvantage and beginning farmers. And it's additional costs. It's usually estimated and run around 90% cost share on that part of it. But we call it a flat rate because it may cost as inflation goes up, things go up. So instead of saying 90% cost share, we say a 90% flat rate because the example, seasonal high tunnel, they went up tremendously the last 3 years. Our cost list used to pay approximately about $9,000. Now to install high tunnels about 15,000, but our cost list has adjusted and we adjust it every year. So that's how a lot of the IRA different funds came to try to adjust those prices and start doing some of those implementation. But so always remember, that's the reason why we don't say not cost share, we say a flat rate because it may change based on inflation because once that contract is locked in, it's locked in. Now we do have some flexibility on those contracts when they become contract. I know we looked at a lot of contracts that was obligated in 2019 and 2020. 2020 when everything went on with COVID, inflation and everything went up, so it was got up to $18,000 installed in 2 hours. Pretty much impossible for people that's already trying to struggle and implement these practices. So NRCS did allow, due to reasoning, we did allow them due to inflation, that was an act that came in that actually helps supplement that payment. But still, if you was unable to do it, was flexible and able to work with you on those practices. So the programs are flexible, but it's always best to install them as soon as you can to stay within the inflation area part of it. So, let's see, cover crop was one of the big practices that we do on equip, because if you look at it, as we having it still is raining some, but it's still dry. Cover crop, protect the soil, that's soil health. We had some initiatives on soil health. And what that does is protect your soil, protects it, and also at the same time, you feed the living organism under the soil, the healthy soil. Take care of your soil to take care of you. Cause that's how fruit and fiber, that's how we eat. So take care of your soil. NRCS is out there to help producers to do that. But if you have any questions, you give us a call. We have an office that represents every county in the state of Arkansas. And if y'all need those numbers, definitely call. You can call my number as state outreach coordinator. My phone cell number is 870-270-8923. Be more than happy to help you, lead you in the right direction. Don't even mind coming out, assisting you, even though your local office would take care of you, but I don't mind coming out, meeting with you and assisting you. That's it from me.
All right.
My name is Gwen Hancock, and I'm a supervisor in the office here in Hazen in Prairie County. Kennard pretty much covered most of our stuff, but as far as equip goes, as he said before, we're all voluntary. Now, there are some steps you have to go through to actually become a participant in our programs. First of all, you have to register with FSA and get a farm number and a track number. Now, in order for us to work with you, you don't necessarily have to have that, but in order to participate, you will have to do that. Because you can actually come to the office, we can sit down with you, we can go to the field with you to see where it is you're trying to go and what you are wanting to do. We have a whole lot of practices to choose from. Now, Tamara talked about the small scale. Now, we also own a big scale for our big farmers. And being here in Prairie County, that's who we're used to. So now we have to make an adjustment to address our smaller people, because it's all new to me. The little small stuff I remember is being back in Weathersea on that little farm, which that's the reason I got an education. But we are still here to serve the small farmers. Now, I haven't worked a lot with you guys because of, I can't get anybody to come into the office. I don't know what's wrong, it must be me. But I'm friendly. You can come in, I can help you. If you have questions, pick up your phone. We can help. You'll be surprised. I'm telling you, you'll be surprised what we can do for you. Don't think, oh, they don't do that. You'll be surprised. Drop by our office because, like I said, everything is voluntary. No one is overlooked. Everybody is treated the same, whether you farm 1,000 acres or 1/10 of an acre. It doesn't matter to us because we're here to please everybody. You've already paid for it, you might as well come get it. It's yours, it's free. We're here for you. Equip, we got the Conservation Stewardship Program. With the Conservation Stewardship Program, that's the program where if you've already applied practices in the past, we say, good job. Thanks for being a good steward. Here, let us give you some incentive money to push you one step further. So our incentive program is to reward the best and encourage the rest. So when they see you doing a good job and say, wow, he get paid for doing that, then the next person can be doing the same thing. Our wetland reserve easement program. That's the one, you take your land out of production. What they do, you come in, you designate the area you want to be put into the program. Now, as far as the field office go, we don't do anything but take the applications out, state and technical centers do all the ranking up. And everything we do is a ranking process. Everything we do is a ranking process. And the part that I like about all of that is, I don't make the decision. I don't have to make the decision, because what happens is you tell me everything you want to do. What's your future? When we sit down and create you a plan, we take those practices, we put them into our system, and our system will put you in order according to money. When we run out of money, that's it. But the good thing about that is, you don't have to come back to register again. We roll you over into the next item. It's a continuous rollover. You're always good until you say, I'm so sick and tired of you guys. Take my name out your list. And then, you know what I'm saying? Are you sure about that? You still mine? So the option is there for you, but you have to come in for us to help you, because we don't know what you need. But I can tell you this, we probably got what you might want and can use. We have some programs for you. So please feel free to come visit with us. Question. Oh, I'm sorry. Question. Did I cover it up?
Great, thank you, Ms. Hancock. And Bernard, is there any questions with either one of them? Okay.
I've heard a little bit about low tunnels. Can you address that?
The low tunnels, excuse me. Low tunnels are real similar to the high tunnels. Now, there's specific specs on them. You can go to your local office to get the exact specs on them, but they are just a shorter tunnel, high tunnel. It's almost more, the ones I've seen, they usually be about 3 foot high. The largest high tunnel usually be a 36. A lot of them are 36 by 24 wide. They usually be about 15, 16 feet tall. But the small lower tunnels are almost the one that go over road, you know, like a 38-inch bed row, go over those row, individual rows on. So, but that is also a new practice that we started last year. But we did start implementing it with the new urban initiatives for this year. And there will be dollars and funds that come out in that new sign up that's coming up in the future. I look forward to coming out within the next 2 or 3 weeks for that sign up. And that'll cover the high tunnels, the low tunnels, the micro irrigation systems, the cover crops, the nutrient management, pest management, and crop rotation on those practices. So, yeah, and the filter systems, you know, your filter system, irrigation filter system that comes for your water line. So your drip takes from stop up when you put that water out on your legs.
Good. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I'll stand out.
Yeah, see, to the lady, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you working out of Hazen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I came to your office, you wasn't there.
I probably was in the meeting or in the field somewhere. I'm very seldom not in the office.
Robert Washington was the one that told me about this.
Okay.
He lives in Malta.
Okay.
And he told me what to do. I was trying to find you. It was a young man and a lady there that I talked to them. I was trying to get an irrigation pump. That's it. And I told you that he told me you might be able to help me to get it. See, I got on Metcalf Road over here. I opened up a fish market over here on Metcalf Road, and I got about 1.5 acres over there of land. And what I'm doing, I sell fish.
Okay.
And but I'm also working with produce,
Okay.
tomatoes and cucumbers, and getting back with the man. He was saying you definitely don't want to have no 3 acres. You have to take the raw bluff and get together on that. I was raised on a farm. Now my home is in Tennessee.
Okay.
And so we had what you say truck patches. I'm well familiar with truck patches. And after we gather so much for what we're gonna have, we figure for the house, then my father would sell the rest of it. They were selling them, but you don't have to have about 1/4 acres, a lot of cucumbers what we say, okra.
Yes, sir.
Or you got to cut it every day.
Yes, sir.
It don't come no every day. Cucumbers are just fast as you can cut them. Look like they grow in a day. They come right back out. And so that's what I was trying to get some help on that. I started off last year, I put 100 pumpkin seed, I put 100 pumpkins out. And I had pumpkins about like a basketball. They were doing good, but I didn't think about it. Deers came in and got me. So this year I'm gonna put wire up around it so I can keep deers off of it. Because I would probably have some pumpkins bigger than this Cherokee. And what I fertilize my ground with, what I season my ground with is the fish. I put it in the ground and dish it in. I borrowed a William Anderson tractor, and that's what I've been doing with. The fish is the best fertilizer you can put back in the ground. That's it. That's it. There's no, what you call it is that's that organic. See, there's no chemicals in there. That fish and you grow. I mean, it look like you see them growing. And they are, so that's what I'm working with. But I opened that fish market up. I spent out of my own pocket $27,000 out of my own pocket. I moved here in '99, January 15, 1999. I drove the power for this bridge over here. I was power driver, so that's what I did for a living. And when I got here, I like it, DeValls, Bluff, so I stayed here. I ended up getting married. I married Marilyn Metcalf. So most of y'all probably know her. So that's how I got here. So now I'm retired, but I'm working on this gardening and stuff now.
So you did meet with Colin and he did take care of you on that day?
And he told me that this is my first time when you said Hazel, I said, that's the lady I want to see.
And it probably was a couple weeks ago.
It was long and it was back maybe mid-January or February because he told me what I was doing. He said, in order that I should have been applying for it in November, December. Am I right? That's correct. I didn't know. But
now, and let me explain it to you. We have our sign-up is continuous. And what it is, a certain time every year that there's a cutoff date.
Okay.
And what happens is at that cutoff date, everything we've accepted from that point back is what we're ranking. And right now we're doing the ranking for that. After that day, which was November, I can't remember what it was, that goes into 25 ranking. Okay. So if you applied anytime after that date in November, you have to be in next year's ranking unless they have a special sign up.
That's what
and 9 times out of 10, that normally doesn't happen.
Well, I'm glad I mentioned so I know because I'm in the process now. I'm gonna buy my own tractor. I'm in the process of buying me a tractor. That's what I'm trying to get my own. I mean, they let me use it.
There you go.
That's why I'm here now.
Yeah.
Because I want to find out.
There you go, right here. There you go.
That's why we're here.
All right.
And let me also mention that you mentioned about the garden and produce. There will be a sign up, another sign up coming for the urban, which will also include what you're trying to do this year. We hadn't set the date of when we're going to announce it. That's really, it should be 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
And make sure you get it. Now, what you can do is go in the office and sign your application and sign up now. So you don't have to worry about missing it, because once that announcement comes, she'll start ranking and she'll call you. And y'all will go over your plan, you go over what you want to do.
That's in Hazen.
That's in Hazen. That's correct. So that eliminates you missing it if you go ahead and take care of that now. So when that sign up come out in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you'll already be in the door. You already have your application on file and ready to go.
Thank you.
At that time.
Thank you.
Also wanted to mention a couple other things. I know we talked about the urban, we talked about row crop, but we also cover pasture land. We also cover timber, forest management as well through NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service. They also have practices that cover that for healthy forests as well, for pasture, for rotational grazing. So it's just about any type of farming, from timber, from pasture, from cropland, from the urban, we actually have some fundings available. The last year and a half have been a unique situation because we've been having multiple pots of funds that we can actually come out of. So just take advantage of the opportunity while it's there.
Okay.
And if you don't already have your farm number with FSA, you need to start working on that now. And they will tell you how you can take care of that here in a minute. So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank
Any
you.
other questions before I take
We're gonna come back with some additional questions.
Okay.
and
All right.
comments
That'll work.
With everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And you're all can leave them your addresses, those and some maybe online here that do not know the Prairie County's address and phone number. I think Bernard did leave his phone number.
Yes.
And I'm sure Ms. Hancock will do the same. Thank you all. You learned something to say. I told you wouldn't regret coming here. The resources that USDA out for you is available to you. And this is great that we get out and get the information out here. We partner, ALCDC is partnered with USDA. And this is what we do, help you, or if you don't know, just like Mr. Connor, that right here and didn't know, this is what we helped you do. So, and thank you all. Next, we're gonna have, well, we already had, Farm Service Agency. Justin, Blackburn, CED, Haley, Sansom,
Yes, ma'am.
Flock Farm Loan,
And now I am actually a flow, so that's the
you,
top
you,
of.
okay,
Yes, ma'am.
all right. Farm loan officer,
Yes.
is no longer a trainee.
Thanks, my Lord.
Congratulations. And they're gonna speak, on air property, conservation, CRP, reserve program, micro urban farming. And anything else that you would like?
I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
So my name is Justin Blackburn. I'm the county executive director for the FSA office in Prairie County. For those who don't know, basically it's behind the National Guard. You know, it's industrial drive. You can't miss it. Just go behind the National Guard and that's where we are. We've got a building, we're with NRCS. One side is NRCS, one side is FSA. And that's kind of the thing with FSA is we have our own programs, but we work kind of hand in hand with basically every other agency within the USDA. One of the main things that you can get from what I say today, really any of these agencies that you deal with, they're going to require you to have what they call a farm number. So really to get that process started, what you need to do, if you want to get a farm number, just come into our office, bring a deed in. We'll identify that piece of ground on a map. We'll take down your information, put you in our computer system, get you listed as the owner of the farm, and get you your own farm number. And from there, you can go over, talk to Ms. Gwynn, talk to them, NRCS, talk to farm loans. We kind of open the door for you to be able to do you know, the rest of that, rest of the programs with them. Like I said, you just come with your personal info, your deed or some proof of ownership, tax records, you know, anything you can get us to show, you know, ownership of the property. And we'll work with you and, you know, pull it up on the computer and identify where it is with you to make sure we're looking at the same piece of ground. But it's really not that big of a deal. But a lot of people don't know that they don't know where to start. And that's kind of the, if you want to do anything with the USDA, that's kind of the first place you need to go, is you need to come to our office with that information. And then we can send you wherever you need to go from there. We do have our own programs that we administer. We kind of follow the farm bill every 4 or 5 years. They'll have new programs that come up. Some of them will just continue on from farm bill to farm bill. And but we've got programs for row crop producers. We've got livestock programs. We've got a lot of disaster programs that run. They're kind of ad hoc, separate programs. They kind of pop up out of nowhere sometimes. We administer, well, since COVID, we've administered, 4 or 5 different disaster programs. They cover everything from cattle to hay to fish to bees, trees, any kind of agriculture that you can do. At some point in time, there has been a program come out for that. We've got a conservation reserve program, which allows you, we kind of work within our CS on that one. It allows you to take acreage out of row crop production and they've got different plans that they make for each person. You can come in, talk to us, they'll send you to Miss Gwen, y'all can work with their team. And they can plant trees, they've got different signups going at different times. There's so many of them, I'm not gonna get into all of them. We offer NAP insurance. What that is it's basically insurance for crops that are not insurable with federal crop insurance. So it's gonna be your fruits and vegetables, it's gonna be your hay. We do offer policies for that. Now, for the historically underserved producers, they're generally able to take out that NAP insurance free of charge. Otherwise, it costs, it's about $300 a crop. But for the historically underserved producers, they're able to sign up for free on that. So we offer farm stored facility loans. We'll put up grain bins. We'll loan you money to buy trucks and trailers and hay truck. I mean, there are a lot of different options there. We've got some dairy programs, we've got so much stuff. I'm just kind of giving you a little overview of what we do. And for row crop production, we've got marketing loans that you can put your grain into a low interest loan for a period of 9 months and allows you time to market your grain. You don't have to take it right across the scale. And you don't have to be at the mercy of the elevator for what they want to pay right then. Our office is ran by what they call a county committee. We have an election every year to each county in the state of Arkansas has a FSA office. Some of them are combined with another county in the maybe smaller areas of the state, but each county will have a county committee, and each county committee person is elected by the farmers and the landowners of the county. There are 3 county committee members on each committee and 1 minority advisor, and that's a little bit different from the way most government agencies operate, because that kind of gives the power back to the farmer, back to the producer. And while we can't deviate much, we have handbooks that we have to follow as far as rules and regulations, but the county committee kind of has a little bit of leeway to interpret those rules and regulations, maybe to fit their area. So it really gives a voice to your local agriculture community. We are a handbook driven agency, and you go into our office and you'll find hundreds of them. And so a lot of times there'll be programs out that they've not even told us about. So it's our job to help you guys. Now, we might not know immediately what you want to know, but if you give us a little time, we'll find out for you. I started in August here in Hazen, and they've got I came from Greene County myself, but they got such a good office here, and such, the people are so knowledgeable and they're so helpful. And these are people that farm themselves or are from a farm family, and that's not a requirement to work for us, but it helps. It helps us to, be able to understand your language, what you got. We know what you guys want to know. And so that's what, that's kind of what sets this little area apart from most places. So really that's kind of an overview of what we've got. If you ever have questions about any of our programs, like I said, we're behind the armory. We're always there. we've got things that just pop up all the time. We've got different programs that come open all the time. We send out an email, a news bulletin once a month that kind of gives a little update if there's a new program that comes out. We get with Miss Gwen and if they'll put an article in there also. So we kind of combine, we'll put out a newsletter a month. And try to keep people updated on what we've got going on. So that's really kind of a general overview from 10,000 foot of what the Farm Service Agency does. And I'm gonna let Haley talk about the loan side of it. We're the program side and she's on the loan side. So I'll let her talk about some of the stuff that she does.
All right, hello guys, my name's Haley Handsome. Okay, so I didn't come in this agency until 2019. I started out in Roanoke, I went to state office. From there, I did go into the Farm Loan Officer Training Program. I raise beef cattle, so I'm a cattle girl, but I appreciate all my farmers, my row croppers feed my cattle. So one thing I do want to address off the bat, you're talking about fish. So I actually have accounts that are hydroponic and aquaponic. Aquaponic is when you use the fish minerals for the vegetables, and then hydroponic is when you just use a nutrient solution.
Okay.
Aquaponic is getting increasingly popular. We actually addressed opening up its own office in the state when we went to our state meeting last. Don't know when that will be, but that will be something they address everyone with. So basically, I'm a Roanoke girl. I don't know if y'all know this, Roanoke is the goldfish and baitfish capital of the world.
Okay.
So we've already got the fish. So people are just now realizing I have the fish, I can do the vegetables. So aquaponics is getting increasingly popular. It is a very good idea. I hope you do amazing with it. Even if you don't have a farm number, obviously you're gonna have proof of sales. So that's gonna show your experience. We can still use that.
Okay.
We do need you to have either 3 years of experience, but like I said, we can go off taxes, we can go off sales receipts, we can go off different things. We try to work with you as best we can. If you're a veteran, that counts as experience. If you have any kind of ag degree, we go through all of that. Now, other than that, as long as you cash flow, we have different kinds of loans. So I did bring this printout for you. So I wouldn't just be talking at you. I can just kind of skip over it and this will give you more info. Now, I will tell you now, so Miss Tammy Jones was over me. She was here for 43 years. And then we lost her in December and now you just got me.
We didn't lose her, she retired.
I feel lost, is what I'm saying. So she abandoned me in December. I ran her away. I was what did her in. So I'm the only official officer right now for Monroe, Prairie, Lonoke, and Pulaski County. I do have a trainee stationed in Lonoke. I'm stationed in Hazen and we are sharing one program tech. But we will get back with you as soon as we possibly can. We have an acting manager right now and we're gonna have 3 different ones just this year. But we are doing our very best to keep up in a timely manner and get everybody taken care of. One of the main things, so say you want to buy land. Or say you want to buy equipment. It's going to be a bit different loans, but you'll do it on the same application. You can come in and say, hey, I want to buy this 10 acres. I also want to buy a tractor. So if you come in to do a direct farm ownership loan is what they call it. And you'll see on here the max loan amount. So if you're buying a farm and land, you have up to a $600,000 limit. That is a separate limit from if you're buying equipment. If you buy equipment, you go up to 400, so on and so forth. Micro loans work a little different. That's if you keep it under 50,000. A lot of this is going to be situational and I would work with you one-on-one to kind of tell you what you need, what we need to, as long as you can cash flow it and you meet the requirements of the experience and all of that. Like I said, we try to be extremely lenient. And we have different ones. And we also have, like, if you're doing a mentorship, if you wanted to do, we have a lot of different options. With ours, it's kind of very broad, so we try to just work with people one-on-one, depending on your situation. What can we do to meet these requirements? What can we do to get you to cash flow? So on and so forth. Now, as far as, I won't really touch on it a lot because I was only really supposed to address direct. But I will say that we are a graduating lender. So technically, if you qualify with a commercial lender, we have to refer you to a commercial lender. But say you go to them and they say, well, we'll take you, but we need some backing. You also have guaranteed loan options. Or say you end up needing more money than what our limits are. Say you go to a bank or Ag Heritage or a lender like that and say, well, I want to apply for a guaranteed loan where FSA will back me. And then we would deal with them and take that from there to see if you would qualify. When you come in, Justin did address that we have farm storage facility loans. Now, I know that's kind of confusing, but for some reason, the way we're set up, there's certain things that can be acquired through an FSFL. The interest rate is on average lower if you get it through FSFL and you actually address it with program side. I approve it, but you would be working with program side. Everything else you will work with me. Don't let that confuse you. Just make sure when you come in that you know what you're wanting to apply for so we get you the correct application.
All right.
Other than that, what I did do, so I put all of just a basic information chart on the front. I did give you an overview that does include farm ownership, guaranteed, all of that, eligibility, just to try to sum it up where I'm not just trying to cram you full of information. I went ahead and I did put the farm storage facility loan stuff on here, so you'll kind of have an idea of what qualifies for that. Now, on the very back, because this is what's going to help you the most with us, because like I said, a lot of it's going to be based on the individual, what we can do to get you to where you need to be. I did put the Prairie County FSA office, and that's the phone number, and then I also put Lone Oak. You can talk to any of the three of us, because there's so many of us, and we're gonna make sure somebody helps you. We're all kind of assisting each other at the moment, because we're a skeleton crew on one side. But you've got me, you have Paul Wolf, and now he should be getting his authority soon, so we should both be officers within the year. I've been an officer since last October and he's finishing up his training now. And then I did not put Miss Nan's email on here because I've got her a little overloaded at the moment, but you can always email or call her with any questions also. She is bouncing back and forth between officers right now. We're working on getting another program tech and getting us some more staff. But anything you need, you can always email me at any time. Always feel free to call me. I do not know what Tammy did, but I do blow her cell phone up still and just don't tell anybody I told y'all that. But, and I guess we'll have questions at the end. I hope I covered most of it. I'm not gonna lie to you. If there's something I don't know, I will find out for you and let you know.
All right.
All righty, thank you.
Man.
Thank you, Haley. So Haley, so you cover, so that.
I'm technically stationed in Hazen, but I'm working Hazen, I'm working Prairie, Monroe, Lonoke, and Pulaski. Since I'm technically the only officer, I don't know I'm winging it, guys, but I'll get you taken care of.
All
All
right.
right. You all got that. No questions right now? Or is there any questions?
No, that's good.
All right.
You live over there by off of 236.
I do.
Yeah, I know. I've seen you over there. See, I go to BB to that auction thing. I buy a lot of stuff out there.
Do you?
Yeah, I remember when they built that dollar store
What, wait, how do you know? Did you hear me talking earlier? Or
there.
you
Yeah, you
talking
were talking to some lady, so you live at
about the
first.
First Dollar General?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, my big cattle
That's
back
off
there.
31.
So do you-
Alone.
So do you know any McGee's in Lonoke? Don't tell me you do, 'cause if you do, I'm gonna run out of here. So we're auctioneers, so I know a lot about equipment, so I can hook you up with equipment.
Where you put, well,
I know about my-
I've got a friend of mine that Gilmore, you know, Starship Gilmore?
That sounds familiar, that's his face.
So he buys, he goes to all the Blackman and back.
Okay, so my grandpa worked for Blackman, so did my great uncle.
Well, he'll know Starship Gilmore.
But if you ever know somebody with the last name McGee that caused trouble, that's my family.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. Yes, sir.
Let me just mention one thing.
Okay.
Arkansas Land Community Development Corporation, we also work in partnership with FSA, and we assist individuals in developing those farm business plans. For operating loans, for land acquisition, purchases. The land, direct loan for land purchases, as a beginning farmer, you must have at least a 3-year history of farm operation in order to get the loan for purchasing land, unless that has changed recently, and I don't think that's changed. That's still the same. And I was going to ask her that she was, but that area, that $50,000 direct loan, if you're going in even as a beginning farmer and you're working with small scale acreage, that really sort of fits the note for the vegetable operation. If you have an acre, 3 acres, things of that nature. But Mr. Tucker and myself, we work with individuals developing the feasibility plan for the business operation, cash flow, and the statement of position of asset or equity position for those farm business plans. But we do that work and communicate directly back with FSA during that process.
Thank you, Dr. King. Is that it?
That's it. Well, I said Mike and myself, not just Mike and myself, but we also had, this is the office out of Fargo. We also have office in Forest City. Mr. Lofton works with us on that too, in developing the farm business plan.
Okay.
And let me give you a little history. Ms. Williams, she was with FSA for, I won't even say how many years,
32 years.
32 years. So she understands the program side, with FSA quite well. I worked with FSA for more years than she worked with FSA.
Okay.
But I have worked with FSA over the years in dealing with farm business plans. I worked for them on loan packages for a very short period of time, and went into the work that I'm doing now. Also, just in doing it again, I farmed for 20 years myself, so I understand the process, and so does Mr. Tucker and Mr. Lawson as well. I want to mention this too with the NRCS. We do the same. If that's when you come in and sign up for the program, that's an application process. We also work with the individuals and back with the NRCS in developing that application for services with FSA. And so you go in to see them, but you really have to make the application out. I have had people to come by and they say, well, we went in and we left our name and we signed up. But if you didn't do the application with NRCS, you have not signed up. So the sign up is the application process. I just want to emphasize that. So if you had the conversation with the person there, if you only had the conversation and understanding the programs and them getting an assessment, and that's important, don't get me wrong, that's very important, that they have a clear-cut assessment, we do the same thing of what you're looking for. If it's a hoop house, if it's CSP, conservation stewardship practices that you're going in for, or a combination thereof. Particularly with the EQUIP program, but that is an application process. I know they have mentioned the terminology was on socially disadvantaged, or the minority segment of the program. Do you all know what that really means?
Not really.
I didn't think so. Okay. Well, the social disadvantage, you say social disadvantage and the extra points, and Mr. Williams gave reference to up to what, 90%? You get 90% of that 18,000 for the hoop house would be a program payment. Don't some say grants. Can I sign up for that grant for that program with USDA? It's a program payment. So 90%, you get 90% of that cost in program payments under EQUIP. And of course, based on practices that you're gonna be employing. If it's unequal in the employment of both some CSP practices along with soil health practices, CSP crop rotation, things that nature, cover crop, as well as other practices, of course, the more points you're gonna get, more your points are. And we go through that process, they have those conversations with you. Social disadvantage basically means minority segment of the population, African American, Hispanic, Native Americans, and women, all women, women, period. I mean, if it's Black women, white women, Native American women, Asian women, all women fall within the category of social disadvantage. So whenever you hear that terminology, social disadvantage, if you fall within those categories, then you fall within that area to receive more points, one, and veteran, well, veteran is not social disadvantage, but veteran also is one that give you more points. Ms. Witt?
Since you don't be seeing all of that, too.
According to our last farm bill, women are not included in our CSI.
Oh.
All women
All women are not,
are not included. on
FSA it is.
FSA it is, but not in our
FSA
CS.
CS, they take it out.
It's still just your African American, your Asian, your Hispanic, your Native Americans.
Now, ladies, that's not my fault. I just want to make sure. Good clarity. There's 100% clarity behind that. They said that USDA. Now, we partner with USDA and we say one USDA and how we work with them. So that's a mistake and miscommunication on my part. But we say social disadvantage, all that fall within the minority category from that perspective. Not all women. But you do get extra points if it's a point of a beginning farmer. You do fall within that category. As a beginning farmer, that means that you have been in operation for less than 10 years. So you've been operating, you've gone in less than you've been operating less than 10 years
What
on your farm.
Well, just doing gardening around.
Yeah, that's how we don't call it garden. We call it urban farm now. Okay.
What it is, I thank God for you that I got a chance to meet you. And today, I'm glad I'm here today. Thank God for that. But so I'll know what I got to do. I'm not dissatisfied. I'm happy. Because now I know what I got to do to get where I want to go.
Right.
Make sure you record that night.
I'm a pastor for 17 years.
Yeah, but I understand, but I like the sermon you're preaching to. I want to say that, but I'm glad Mr. Williams is here to hear that because he has outreach, and since he's out here reaching out, he's gonna reach back up. But I do appreciate, as Mr. Williams said on the front end, that's the purpose. That's why we do what we do, and make sure that there's clarity all the same time. So like that, you read one thing on social disadvantage, and we do a lot of things dealing with the loans, and we categorize accordingly on the social disadvantage on the loan packaging. In fact, I was just working with a client this week, and I said, well, you fall within the category of social disadvantage, but we was working on a farm business plan, but then. And going over to FSA to get her phone number. And now I gotta go back and tell her, well, that's not gonna work for you with NRCS. with that application, because you would not fall in that category for added points, but you would as a beginning promise, still. So, but I appreciate that. I appreciate your comment as well. And that's why I said I like this. This is a roundtable discussion. It's engagement. And that's what we look for, the engagement. And I think all the resource people here will say the same. They want to see engagement. They want to hear it. They want to hear from you and have a better understanding, how meaningful it is. It does mean something. They say they haven't been here before, but they've gone through DeValls, Bluff, and Bisco. I stopped in Bisco for DeValls, Bluff. I don't know why. I just always think the two areas are right together, but this is what we do. Yeah, that's right.
Can I make one more point?
Yeah, go
Where
ahead.
you was talking about grant, a lot of people get us confused with the grant part of it. We are not grants.
Program payments.
We are program payments. And I've had the question before, and is this a grant and blah, blah. No, if you have a income limitation that you cannot max out, you will be paying taxes on this money.
That's right.
This is not tax-free money. You will pay taxes, because I've had people, okay, will I be tax? No. So if you have an income limit, I can't make more than $6,000, then you need to quit before you get to that point. And I've had that done before. They thought it was a grant. Yeah, I've had that before. They thought it was actual grant, but no.
I never paid the $6,000.
You will pay
I'd be in
taxes.
good shape.
Okay, we have some online questions.
Yeah, I think this is for NRCS. They said they have wetlands in Pine Bluff area. And they were looking for some contact from the Jefferson County contact number.
What's that, the wetland reserve? But,
Michelle. It'd be Michelle Martin. Looking for.
534-3200. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Because
I say 0.
32.
Had to look it
Long
up.
time.
it's in
Jefferson County, right?
Jefferson County.
That's right.
870
534-3200.
And she will be extension 3.
Michelle Martin.
Shayla Martin.
Miss Martin.
Yeah.
and man, let me just mention this to those in the audience. We're both here, those who are in person, but we're also on virtually. And we started doing this during COVID, and we've just continued it since. So we have people in other counties that may be participating and may have certain questions. Sometimes they do follow-up calls back to us after the meetings even. So it's more than just this order.
One more?
Yeah, a couple more. She said, they also have land for industrial or distribution use, and they want to know who can help with that.
What did you say?
They have land for industrial distribution use.
Industrial.
It's distribution,
Use, right?
yeah, and they want to know who could help with that.
I'm going to follow the rule.
Yeah, it'd be all right.
It's going to be
We
our,
got the next speakers.
we got something.
They want to know about a forestry plan consultant near Pine Bluff. If anyone has,
Michelle Martin saying, because what they'll do, contact her with Arkansas Forest Commission, which we partners with. So contact that local NRCS office, Michelle Martin, same number. And
They can also contact the state forestry office as well.
but they still have that number on hand. They have that number on hand at the local office.
okay.
Is there any other questions online? All right, thank you, Mike. Next, we're gonna have rural development with Keith Husky. Keith, I don't know what WEP is, but loan specialist, Tricia Davis. Loan specialist, Mallory Brown, loan tech, and I know Florida not here. But so however you all want to come in and just come up. For Keith, I know you don't need one.
Is it being broadcast over the web?
Yes, sir.
Since you're typing questions on the web,
State office might be watching.
well, they can do. For everyone here, for everybody on the web. My name is Keith Husky. I'm the loan specialist with our area office in our Jonesboro office. The area office that would cover eastern and central Arkansas is our Forest City office. And unfortunately, the folks from that office couldn't be there today, so the folks from our Jonesboro office, where we cover primarily 11 counties in northeast Arkansas. That's primarily our territory that we cover. But we're glad to be here today to answer questions about the various programs that we've got through USDA Rural Development.
I think someone counted here a while back and said that our agency has 42 programs. We're not gonna talk about all 42 today. We're gonna highlight the ones that you're more likely to use from our office. It mentions on the program, rural small town community grant and loan programs. This is a segment of our programs. We call them community programs. And it does precisely what it says. These programs serve the communities as a whole. And our customers, the customers that come to us for this funding is typically public bodies like cities and towns. And also public nonprofits that serve the community like facility boards. But our community facilities program, it finances anything that serves the community. Whether it be police cars, whether it be fire trucks, whether it be fire stations, police stations, city hall buildings, anything that serves that community as a whole and helps them function as a community. This program has a loan function and it has a grant function. And typically the grant funds are used to bridge the gap between the cost of the project and the loan that the entity can afford to repay. And there's been some instances out there where a community would come up and say, well, we're limited in our resources. We're limited in our funding. We just don't have the resources it takes to repay a loan. Well, in a lot of cases, we're able to partner with the other federal and state agencies to help fund these projects. But this is an important program because it helps support the community. So if we're able to help finance a new fire truck, then your ISO rating goes down. And that's money in the pockets of your citizens because they're not paying as much homeowners insurance premium.
That's right.
They can take that savings and they can use that for something else. If we can finance, better police cars and radios for your local police department, well, maybe you can catch some more of these bad guys that are out there running around. Make things safer for your community. Maybe entice more local businesses to come settle in your community. More local agri businesses to come settle in your community. Because our name rural development means just that. Our agency is primarily here to help develop rural America and develop rural Arkansas. So anything we can do to help develop your communities and make them better than what they are, well, there's a lot of cases where businesses are more willing to come in. They're more willing to come in and set up shop and offer their services. So for this area here, you go to our Ford City office to do that. But we all stand ready to help where we need to on that. But when we're looking at grants, we look at a number of things. Part of that has to do with we take a lot of that information from the U.S. Census Bureau. So that's why it's always important every 10 years, whenever the enumerators come out, when you get those questionnaires in the mail, be sure to fill those things out and get those things back in. Because a lot of our programs hinge on that information that comes in from the U.S. Census Bureau. So that information is very important. And another thing we look at is it's a number that comes from the Census Bureau. It's called median household income. And the closer your community is to our state benchmark, the less grant eligible that you are. You got to find a way to draw a line in the sand somewhere. So anything that your community needs, come talk to our folks in our area office, and we'll be glad to sit down with you and see what we can do for that. Another program that we offer to communities is our water you didn't know what WEP stands for. It's an
You
acronym-
wired something, but I didn't know that.
Well, there you go. It's an acronym for Water and Environmental Programs. And environmental is basically a politically correct way of saying sewer.
Okay.
Okay. Our water and environmental program, we're able to finance rural water and rural sewer systems. And I'll tell you, I've done this for years. And I'll talk to people this, they walked in the door with 2 mason jars. One mason jar looked like it was a glass of iced tea. I said, "You bring me some iced tea?" They said, "No, this is some well water. We gotta get that fixed." Yeah. Then that second mason jar would be clear water. I'll get that water. That second mason jar would be clear water. And I said, "Where'd you get that from?" They said, "Well, you helped finance a rural water system where we could hook up to that rural water system, and now we got clean water." All right, all right. We're not having to buy a new set of clothes every 6 months because our clothes got all spotted up with iron and manganese and sulfur and everything else. You don't think about potable drinking water until you don't have it. But we're there to help with that, Mayor. Typically on those water and sewer projects, we had you pair up with a civil engineer. That civil engineer goes out and they survey your system, they write up a repair list. Based on previous knowledge, they know what that stuff costs, to know what a cost estimate is. And then they help you file these funding requests with these different state and federal agencies, including USDA. So on these water and sewer projects, the civil engineer is the star of the show on that project. So you want to pick a good one that's knowledgeable about our programs and knowledgeable about what it takes to fix your water and sewer system. That's our water and waste disposal loan and grant program. Once again, we tie a lot to the census data. Let me backtrack a second. In our community facilities program, that program serves rural communities, 20,000 population and less. Our water and environmental program, we serve areas 10,000 population and less. I was talking on the phone yesterday with a city council member in a little town up there, was wanting to know what we could do to help them. Their population was 13,000. I said, "I'm so sorry. We cannot help you with this water and environmental program because we draw the line in the sand is 10,000 population. And your community's 13,000. I wish we could help you with that program, but we can't." So, we got different population census data that we work with that. And also in this water and environmental program, repayment abilities based on the rates that you charge. You might have to raise your rates a little bit in order to pay for a loan. Or pay for a loan grant combination. That's something you can pass along to your users. On the community facilities end where we offer loan funding, of course, you don't always have a revenue source to draw from to repay a loan. Unless you've got something like franchise fees or like a sales tax is dedicated for repayment or something like that. I want to talk a little bit about, now the 2 programs that I just mentioned has to do with public bodies, cities and towns, and public nonprofits that serve the community. I'm gonna mention a couple of other things that kind of swings the pendulum back around where we're looking at local producers, looking at local folks that have like small businesses. A program that's been fairly popular with us is called our Rural Energy for America program. The acronym is REAP, REAP. The main purpose of that program is to help ag producers and rural small business owners fund and finance things that are energy efficient for that farming operation or for that small business. There's a loan and grant portion to that. The grant portion, I think we can fund up to 50% of the cost of the project. And I know like for a lot of rural small businesses, we've been financing stuff like more energy efficient lights for the building, more energy efficient heating and cooling for the businesses. I did an inspection on a small business a couple of years ago that had solar panels on their roof. You know, to make that business more energy efficient. So once that business is more energy efficient, they're not spending as much money on their utilities. So that frees up their money to put in other parts of the business. Same thing with ag producers. We're able to finance stuff like better energy efficient fans for your grain bins. I know there's 2 or 3 farms up around Jonesboro that you see the small crop of solar panels out there. Well, that's to give them some energy to help power their farm and power the grain bin. Now, I think whenever you put in for something like that, I think they do what's called an energy audit, and I think there's a contractor involved that helps with that. And, but that's something that can help ag producers and it can help small rural businesses. And something we've done on and off over the years is called a value added producer grant. That's for ag producers that they do their own marketing. You know, maybe they've got a spin on their product, like the way they want to package it or the way they want to market and sell it. This value added producer grant will help you as far as funding the research behind how to do that. And I think there's some operating capital that's in that as well. Now this program and this REAP program is administered mainly out of our state office in Little Rock. So if you're interested in that program, you need to contact our staff, our business and industry staff in our state office. And they'll work with you on a funding application and see what they can do to help you. Everything I've talked about, plus everything that I have not talked about, can be found on our website at www.rd.usda.gov. There's some links out there that you can click on, and once again, you'll see all the programs we got, and you'll thank me later for not spending time to talk about all of them. But that information's out there for you to look at whenever you've got the time and opportunity to do it. You know, if you got an internet connection to do that. That's all I've got on this. I know Tricia Davis will come up here in a moment and talk to us about our housing program. And that'll be of interest to a lot of our rural residents and, maybe some ag producers as well. I'm taking questions later.
Actually, one at this point,
Okay.
and I don't think you touched on this one.
No.
On the rural business enterprise grant. Now I think that's available, eligible applicants. It can be through either nonprofits as well as cities can apply if there is an existing business that says it's going to expand and create new jobs for the area, having an economic impact. And the same thing would be if a nonprofit was going to apply. You ought to still.
I think for-profits can apply for that.
Yeah, well, you're right. I'm sorry. I said not. For-profits can. For-profits are eligible. For-profit businesses are eligible. I think the application has to be filed by a nonprofit or by a municipality. And I may be wrong on that. It may be directed by
Possible.
the for-profit as well. As long as there's an understanding that the for-profit business is going to benefit or is going to locate in, so you're going to expand the capacity of an existing business with a new building and equipping it with other type of equipment for that business expansion, then that grant program, the city could apply. And there has to be an agreement between the municipality and the for-profit business that they're going to utilize that particular business or that expansion or that new building as a part of that business expansion. And the same thing would be if it's with a nonprofit. For-profits might be, I may have missed something, for-profits may be able to apply directly for that. But at one time it had to come to a municipality.
There's a lot of those programs, there are business and industry division that our area office does not handle.
Right, it comes out of the state office.
I would encourage folks to call our B&I division as well.
Right, the business and industry, yeah. What's
And
his name?
and their number, by the way, is 501-301-3280.
I'm sorry. I didn't get all that number.
501-301-3280. Tim Smith is our program director, and he's got 2 or 3 loan specialists that works with him on those programs. So, I can mention that, yeah, we've got these programs, but when you start drilling down into the details, we got to pass the football off pretty quick.
Right.
Well, I mean, but it's getting you where you need to go as far as getting more information and more details about the programs.
I would also suggest this, both for elected leadership and for individuals. The organization in your area that provides direct assistance for putting together those packages would be your Central Arkansas Planning Development District, which is based out of Lona. So they're familiar with the programs. Basically, all the planning development districts, they do outstanding jobs in putting together those type of grant packages. The same thing applies for the infrastructure on the water sewer systems. They also work with municipalities in developing the application for the infrastructure development for both grant and loan program. Of course, they're used to, I think they may waive it in certain cases where there is a fee associated with it. They also have a listing of the engineers, civil engineers that they normally work with on projects of that nature. And of course, with a business development deal, you would need the same thing. You would need both possibly at least an architectural type of engineer, but an engineer, the proper engineer in developing those plans.
If I can add to what you just said, these planning districts, they work primarily with public bodies.
Right.
And they help really administer state funding. Funding comes through the Natural Resource Division of the Arkansas Department of Agriculture, also the Arkansas Economic Development Commission. Their primary customers are public bodies, and their number one priority is to help administer state money. Now, here at USDA, we administer federal money. And on virtually all these programs that we've got, we can partner with other funding agencies if it takes a mix of that to make that project work. So yeah, it's nothing uncommon for us to work hand in hand with regional planning districts.
Right.
To get these projects put together and funded. So.
Yeah, we've done those with the planning development district and the involvement of RD, on the financing side. Because normally in most cases, the planning development district, they do charge an administrative fee. And I know you all have your administrative costs already and what services you provide.
And that administrative fee is usually built into the state funding.
That's true.
It's not built into our fund,
No,
it's built into theirs. but-
That's true, you all are not, well, you would improve it.
Yeah, usually what we pay for is like architectural engineering costs and legal costs.
Right.
That's also considered an eligible cost of these, like on our community programs. Our community facilities, water, and environmental program.
Now, I know you mentioned the water, sewer, but natural gas, you also, do you fund the natural gas? It says expansion of lines for natural gas, involving municipalities or utility companies.
I haven't worked on any of those, to my knowledge, our state office staff has not.
Okay.
I don't know if we haven't done it because there hadn't been a request to do it. Or if there's some nuance in our program that keeps us from doing it. I'd have to get some clarification on that.
That's all, fund development districts, main thing.
Yeah, I'll be around if you got questions after we're done. Thank you very much.
All right, like Keith and Miss Janie said, my name is Trisha Davis. I worked a single family housing program out of Jonesboro, but I work it all across the state of Arkansas. We've got two main housing programs. The first one I'm going to talk about is our direct 502 loan program. This is to purchase a house. It's a little different than your conventional home loan in that it's targeted towards very low and low income households. For Prairie County, the income limit for a household of 1 to 4 people is $51,200, and for 4 to 8 people, it's $67,600. Right now, interest rates are around 4%, but kind of what makes this program special is that you don't have to have a down payment, and we, depending on your income, might be able to subsidize your loan payment each month. Instead of paying your full interest amount, you might just be paying 1%, and we would just tack that on the end of your loan. So your payments are a little smaller to kind of ease the financial burden there and get you in a home. Like I said, no down payment. The main focus here is to get everybody in decent, safe, and sanitary housing. And then our next program is our single family housing repair loan grant program. This is if you already own a home and you just want to make some improvements to it. This is a grant and a loan program. For the grant, it must be used to remove safety and health hazards from the home. And to qualify for that, you have to be in the very low income category, which is 32,000 for Prairie County. And you have to be 62 or older for the grant. You don't have to pay any of the grant money back as long as you stay in the home for 3 years after the grant closes. The maximum grant amount for your entire lifetime is 10,000. So if you apply and are eligible for 5,000 and get like windows in your house, you can always apply again and see if you're eligible to get the rest of that money to make more repairs. Now on the flip side of that is our loan repair program. Same application as a grant, but there is not an age stipulation on that. So anybody of any age, as long as you own the home, can apply and possibly be eligible for that loan. The loan is up to $40,000. And there's also not as many stipulations on the loan as to what you can use it for. So the grant is targeted just to remove safety and health hazards from the home. But the loan funds can be used to repair, improve, or modernize homes. So you could possibly, if you're needing new flooring in your house, you could use the loan money to do something like that. You must own and occupy the home to be eligible for these programs. And then as far as, like I said, I've kind of already gone over your income requirements on these. But as far as your credit goes, we're a little less stringent on your credit.
For our direct home loan program to purchase a home, we usually look for around a 640. If you don't have any credit whatsoever, we can kind of supplement that with non-traditional credit. So you could get us like 3 sources of your phone, water, electric bill, or previous rental history, and we can look at that to kind of build you a non-traditional credit history. And then same with the housing repair loan. We usually look for around a 620 on that, but that number is not set in stone. We can kind of build your non-traditional history on that as well. So I think that about covers both loan programs or housing programs. If there's any questions.
That loan program you talking about there, if you want to have, I mean, would they build on your property?
So, new construction, not to an existing property or an existing home. You're wanting to completely build a new home.
Well, what it is, I got a 30 by 24, that's my building, it's paid for.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about adding another 30 by 24 onto that market, that's what I'm talking about, could I get a loan to get that done?
But that's gonna come back to your rural business enterprise, loan program, like your BNI.
Okay,
You have your BNI, your business and industry loan program with RD, what he was giving reference to, we were giving reference to a few minutes ago,
okay,
when he talked about that. But, which comes from the state office, they don't do those from the local office, district office. But we can work with you on that, and make the connection, you know, on it with the Tim Smith, he's a head person
all right,
therefore it. I would explore both options. If it's within the city limits, if it's an add-on to, and what I was giving reference to a few minutes ago on the grant program, if you're going to add, and the feasibility plan being done, if it's an add-on to an existing building, you may want to look at the possibility of the BNI grant, the Rural Business Enterprise grant portion, and the cost of both the add-on construction costs and any new equipment that will be a part of that. And for their compliance periods and that you have to go through once if it's a grant.
okay,
And now if it's a loan, it'll be, you know, again, probably traditional type loans. Now they do those loans both as direct loan as well as guaranteed loans. So if you have a local bank that you are that you're working closely with, then you could get that loan from the bank and get up to a 90% guarantee from RD, from rural development.
okay,
In addition to that, the banks can work with Federal Home Loan Bank. Now, Federal Home Loan Bank, and I've been in some meetings in some other parts of the state and I'm with Federal Home Loan, not with Federal Home Loan Bank, but I'm on their advisory, you know, board. But the Federal Home Loan Bank can do what they call equity financing. So if it's not enough security there, then the bank can do an application process up to $125,000 as an unsecured loan, and working directly back with the bank. So banks, okay, we'll make this, but you don't have quite enough equity or security there. We'll make application to the Federal Home Loan Bank and get this money in to be unsecured, and we'll make the secured side of that loan, say on another $100,000, use an example, of $50,000 to make this a feasible plan. And there's a lot more flexibility in the equity, in that equity loan financing with the banks as well on the business development side. I don't know how much has been done in Arkansas, as much so particularly in our part of the state, with RD and the banks on that. But those are the options if you're talking about an expansion add-on. But I would go with the RD straight side first, either as a guarantee and the possibility of the grant program. Particularly with some of the things coming out now about the equity report is coming out. It's supposed to be out now. It's talking about equity resource investments by USDA with the limited resource and the socially disadvantaged segments of the population. and some that's in there under the RD side.
And I do wanna say, your, local office would be in Forest City. If you have any questions, you can call their office or our Jonesboro office. And then if you guys are interested in any of these programs, you can get with me afterwards, and I can get your information and send you applications and stuff.
I have one other question for you, and this is for the public, for the audience. On the 502, new construction, what's the maximum on that as far as loan? I may have missed that.
Maximum loan amount or?
Yeah, maximum loan amount.
So they just, I believe it was yesterday, came out with new loan limits. I believe it was 300, I just glanced at it this morning, and I believe it was 396,000 that they raised that loan to.
Okay.
So your eligibility, amount would be determined on your income, your total debt ratio and everything. So, just because you apply and are determined eligible doesn't mean you're gonna be eligible for that maximum 396,000. It would be dependent on your,
Look at your
total
income,
debt ratio.
your income to debt ratio. Okay, on the, okay.
Yeah, I don't know about the previous, if it was for you or the previous gentleman, wanna know about rural business grants. And, he had another question about affordable home builders and funding and a copy of an equity report.
Okay. I don't know if they have sent you all information on the equity report yesterday.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the equity report is actually out at the local or state level yet. I was just reading an announcement that report has been pretty much so, has been completed. They will be rolling it out, what all the equity report is, what's come out from the Equity Commission at the national level. That's the one, and of course, that will apply to USD across the board. What is probably going to be equally as important as relates to the equity report will be to watch the present farm bill. As it is so now being, I guess, finalized, pretty much so finalized or formulated, to what extent that the equity report is going to be addressed in the new farm bill. I would also encourage people to look at the president's budget has just come out to see what extent that the equity financing or budgeting where that fits within the president's budget as well. I'm not going to talk very much, but that gets into political. I know all of us are not political. We are all. I want to make sure we are all non-political. Y'all hear me on camera now about that, including Arkansas Land Community Development Corporation and all these USD offices here. I want to get clarity on that. Okay, man. So we know that. You know, we're nonpartisan.
You're just talking about where the money's going.
Just where the money. This is for public information purposes only. And that those are areas that you would want to consider. But a very good question on part of the one that's on virtually. I would suggest to you also as that report is coming out, and some of the things that Mr. Williams gave reference to regarding, the Inflation Reduction Act money, how that's coming out now. They've made a lot of announcements. But the state technical committee with NRCS, you all get reports all the time. You have an opportunity to see where money has been prioritized and, where they're looking at spending, from one year to the next. So I just encourage local people to have discussions with your local USDA agency, particularly back with the NRCS office. And they can participate with the technical committee, right? They can come to those meetings.
Yes, sir.
And also go to those public meetings. At the state level, state technical committee meeting, and you can get that information. Or if you give Mr. Williams your email address, he will get you on the list to receive notices about the technical committee meeting. When I think you have one coming up in May. I think the next one statewide is going to be in May, and they give a full rollout, you know, and where the budget is, you know, what it's looking like, you know, for the next year, priority areas on spending, you know, from there, and you can have input, you know, if you think it should be more somewhere else, and, you know, going from there.
Could you repeat the question on the, what this for the building?
He just, want you to elaborate on the affordable home builders and funding.
So we legally are not allowed, if they're referring to contractors, we're legally not allowed to recommend any contractors. They do have to be state licensed, however, and we can provide a website that, the Arkansas State Licensing Contract Board puts out, where you can search by your area, county, and the type of builder that you're needing. We also, I wanted to specify this, we cannot finance any used manufactured mobile homes. And then as far as new manufactured mobile homes, they have to be from a certified dealer, and unfortunately at this time, we don't have a certified dealer in Arkansas. So we're kind of, our hands are tied on that until we are able to get a certified dealer. But I just want to kind of clarify that as well.
I didn't know that.
We had one for a while, and then 2 or 3 years ago,
We had two, we had one. Yeah, I have none.
I have none, yeah, I know,
It's
because they
very
were,
difficult on them. On the mobile home.
particularly when the costs, the structure costs went up, that cost, and what that market is, just wasn't able to.
Okay, thank you for saying. Thank you. Is that it from group development? All right, thank you all. I guess we have no other questions. There is a place for question and answers that prior presenters have come up. If you have any, you're now to speak now. Okay, I'm gonna hold your peace. We're gonna go on into the closing remarks. Kenny, if you wanna close out, or we?
Now, she has a question here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Okay,
apologize.
I'm not sure where I missed it, but the business grant and loan program. Business as in, does it have to be farming or any kind of agriculture?
Only,
For the layperson, not for the public, offices.
It could be for small business owners. They don't have to be ag producers.
right,
Okay, and they give preference to veterans. Total
I
disabled.
think that's part of the scoring process.
yeah,
Well, I was asked to ask that. And this contact would be the same folks that the housing.
Well,
Grants.
the number that I gave you a while ago that ends in 3280,
Uh-huh,
that's our state director staff that handles our business and industry division.
Mr. Smith.
Yes, so the questions we can't answer for the round table here, we'd encourage you to check with them in Little Rock.
Okay, and another question is for a residence grant or loan for a home. Building in a flood zone, not allowed.
You can do it, but you're gonna get into flood insurance, which if you've seen the price tag on that lately, it's might run you backwards. If you're building a new construction, you are definitely required to have flood insurance. If it's an existing home, if it's a grant, we don't always require flood insurance. We don't require you to get flood insurance. However, if you start getting into the home repair loan, depending on your amount, we will require it.
Where do you find out if you're wanting to put in a small patch vegetable growing and you have access to water that runs in our city here, the basin, and you can pump that water, which would be rich in nutrients. We hope that's just nutrients and not other things that would be harmful to crops. But it would already have the fish bone meal in it and other fertilizing nutrients. Is there a legality where if you want to, a small area to water a small patch for public purchase.
Let me say two things in that regard. Of course, now the NRCS, I'm the equip, on the program side, if you're applying for that, I don't know if they have any specific requirements from that perspective as relates to the water, but water quality is definitely an issue if you're dealing with horticulture crop, vegetable crops. Two is that the source to go to in reference to that would be Arkansas Department of Agriculture. I referenced earlier when I first opened up about the GAP and GHP. That's good agricultural production practices and good agricultural pounding practices. The state can get you certified that you're dealing with clean water and you have that water tested with the health department. So the health department can take tests on the water to see if it's safe for irrigating purposes on crops that's consumable, if you're talking about vegetable crop production. Now, the other reason for that is I just call mitigating risk, factors. If you're dealing with distribution to the public in any way, you should deal with certification, or you should look at what all the requirements are and to what I call a self-evaluation that you are operating within the context of good agricultural production practices and good agricultural counting practices. We work with individuals on that. We can come out, do an assessment. Matter of fact, one of the first plans and first farmers that got certified in the state of Arkansas, our organization did it. And this has been probably 20 years ago. Matter of fact, Mr. Williams' dad, he was one of the first producers, vegetable crop producers in the state of Arkansas to deal with certification on both GHP and GAP, good agricultural production and good agricultural handling practice. And that's probably been, Mr. Williams, what, 20 years ago? Or more. Well, I'm really telling my age up here. So anyway, we did that roughly some 20 plus years ago. Matter of fact, the state of Arkansas did not have a certification process during that time period. We were bringing people in from Texas and I guess it's like doing somewhat of a cross training reference with those individuals who now work in that area for the state of Arkansas and back through the state board. So you just say for two reasons, two things. One, anyone that's going to use water that's coming, even on well, if the well has been there for a period of time, we tested wells during that process and the water coming from the wells were contaminated and they were dealing with vegetable crop production, okay? Not just coming from a ditch area, yes, not just from a ditch area and where you may have certain other runoff. You have to deal with the GAP, GHP, if you're within a certain proximity, a location to livestock production. Again, the contamination that can occur from that perspective from water runoff, depending upon which way the gravitation process and when you're dealing with that with water runoff. So all of that, we look at it, we do an assessment. I was talking with a client the other week and they want to sign up for the equip program. They're getting the process of getting the farm number now. I went out and looked at their operation. They have livestock, up. Of course, you have to put the livestock on the hill, right? And of course, the vegetable operations, and they've been doing this for a period of time, but didn't know about the equip program, want to put a hoop house and everything in. They said, well, you got a situation. Now, NRCS may not tell them that, but we tell them that you have an issue here. If you got vegetable production down here and you're doing livestock up there and you want to go to FSA for the livestock, FSA may not tell you that because they're going to make you the loan. They're going to look at feasibility, right? So they're going to feasibility, cash repayment ability. But from your own perspective and looking at your operation from a business, and if you're dealing with direct to consumer marketing or to any other marketplace, you need to get it certified, or you need to get with NRCS as a part of your sign up to look at the type of conservation practices. Now, this is always this is not NRCS now, this has just been my opinion from going back 20+ years, that NRCS is probably the best agency around that can make sure that your conservation practices would enhance your ability to have good agriculture production practices as well, because of what they can employ as a part of a conservation contract. Now, they won't say that's what they do, but their practices is built into that, is what I call food safety.
That's correct. Now, I will address one. We do have a practice called nutrient management,
Right,
and that would address a lot of that.
some of that area, okay.
Because first you're gonna test your soil. You tell what NP and K and then what micro nutrients that you have there on your soil. So it'll tell you if it's at optimal level or not. Soil test is the very first start. You start doing any kind of produce and kind of farm or anything like that. So,
pay $30 soil sample.
yeah, but you can go to the extension office and it don't cost you anything.
It's free.
It's free. So the U of A Corporate Extension Office provide that service to you free. So, and you can take it to your local, cause every county, you got one in Prairie County, you got one in DeValls Bluff, the county courthouse.
There's one in Lone
And there's one in Lono, and there's one in Desert. So you actually have 3 in your area. But you pull that soil test, when you pull that soil test, it'll tell you what nutrients that you have there. And start back, you go back to if you have cattle up top.
They change.
Yeah, and if it's running down to your pasture area, actually it's gonna show up on your soil test. And it'll tell you what you need, where to go from. But we do have part of that as part of our conservation plan. And we do actually have cost share assistance to actually help you do that. And
Just be mindful, he says soil nutrient practices. I said good agricultural production practices in itself. So, and that's why I say my argument is that conservation program practices supports good agricultural production practices as far as safety, food safety is concerned. So soil nutrient practices on the conservation program, if you're going to be doing horticultural crop production, then you should, in signing up for conservation program, make sure you have that as a part of the contract. Okay, does that make sense?
And, what happened, I had to have a septic tank put down. They charged me 30 to get a soil sample for that. When I got ready to plant the garden, I went to Hazen. That's why I took the dirt down at Hazen, right there at, by that, is it Pereira Farmers, right down by that gas station. And I took them.
But I'm agreeing on Mr. Williams, I would let Extension Service do that on the soil testing. The other thing I would do is give it the health department, first step, in dealing with water and other areas, soil test, health department. Soil nutrient, now you saying soil nutrient, I'm saying GAP, good agricultural production practice. What I'm saying is that soil nutrient, the conservation program supports good agricultural production practices itself and as a part of the certification process. The other thing I would do, I would suggest that you do contact the State Department of Agriculture and we used to do what we call a pre-audit process. So if I went out and saw certain thing within a certain distance and location and point, I said, well, this will be a total negative on you for certification, a farm for commercial purposes. Mr. Williams family been dealing with vegetable production for years. So I guess probably your brother runs that side of the operation now, right? Are you? Anyway, Mr. Williams totally understands what I'm talking about. I say 20 years, 25 years ago.
Well, between them two, I'll get it.
You'll get it. You'll definitely get it there. I just want to make sure I put emphasis on that as we are dealing with it from the conservation perspective and the GAP and the GHC, good agricultural handling and the good agricultural production practices, and how conservation can feed into supporting the other, and you get cost share in the process.
And if you can I address one thing real quick?
Sure.
I do want to say, we don't go as in depth with certain things, but we do complete an environmental inspection when we do a loan on it with FSA as well. We're looking more like Are you containing your chemicals correctly? Is there any spillage of any fuel tanks? Is there any, like ours is more of a broad, but that is part of our qualifications, just to make that clear. There are still certain things. And also we have different, if you go below the plow line, so if you came to me for a loan for fencing, there's gonna be different steps to take. Because once you break that plow line, which is beyond 2 feet, which anybody's ever ran a fence knows, if you're not putting your wood corner posts at least 3-4 foot deep, you're not building a very good fence.
That's right.
So I always, you know, if you come through us, a lot of times with cattle, you know, if you want to do hot wire, then you're okay. But once you break that plow line, we do have, it gets a little more in depth. So I do want to warn you about that. Other than that's really all we can think of. We just do like a broad overall, just making sure everything checks out. There's no trash, junk where the production is and all that stuff.
Well, that's your last question. Did that answer your question, man?
So, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
But you know what I wanted the answer to be? Yeah, girl, use that water.
I'm very clear now. Very clear. I am not saying. I'm not saying don't use the water, I'm saying I gave you the wrong answer. What I said is, make sure I'm clear, I know people listening and watching this too. What I said is there are resource agencies that you should consult with. One is the health department, have them to take the water tests, to test the water. Then two, you consult with NRCS, and they would deal with the soils, okay, on the soil nutrient basis. So you know if that's contamination where the water is coming in, if that's contamination in the soil, and the source of the point could be from the water itself, okay? But also test the water. I didn't say no. Okay, I didn't say no. Okay, I said process.
And we do have practices to help with irrigation water management as well.
Yes.
So always remember that. So like if you have some nutrients, filtration systems and things like that. So there are practices that will help you with the irrigation water management as well.
The filtration system, putting certain practices
certain practices in to help you, assist you with that. So
that's what I said. I didn't say no. I said process. Okay. I hope
Okay. Thank you all.
That's why I need partners around.
On behalf of Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation, we want to thank you for having us meet our goal to achieve outreach program resource service delivery for underserved community and residents. And you have, I hope you have increased knowledge of community-based principles and options to advance racial equity for their farming, business operations, and your communities. And this will help you have a better understanding of fair development practice with USDA program service to improve outcomes for historically marginalized farmers, landowners, and communities. And the behalf of Arkansas Land Community Development Corporation, again, we want to thank you. I'm gonna let Mr. Lofton come up, Ag Farm Division Director, to give you announcements about the client intake. And you want me? Before you leave. Before you leave, if I'd like for you to do the evaluation of this training, we definitely would love for you to do that. And there's also client intake form that we would like you to complete. And we will do a client case intake and do a follow-up service and call you. So just let us know what your needs, and we will be there for you. So thank you again, but make sure you do this, leave this.
Yeah, please.
Evaluation form.
Yeah, please do the evaluation to let us know what we did right and what we did wrong.
Yes.
And what we need to do better. And the intake again, we put you in, and it comes a part of our case management process. As Ms. Williams said, to do necessary follow-up from our farm program service division, or the housing division. I wanted to say one other thing. I want to make sure y'all know all of our staff. Y'all met Mr. Lofton, Michael Tucker here, he's our IT person on everything that operates and make sure it gets out beyond, this room. And Ms. Barbara Irby, she's our public relations marketing person. Make sure everyone signed in, so you're on our mailing list. We have a publication you'll see on the table called The Advancer. And we're consistently trying to improve that as well. In what we say, publishing more information on our small communities. And plus we get a chance to put these people on the front page and stuff all the time, all through the language. Thank you.
Thank you. If you don't have a safety, we're going back.